What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B, watching Dave B on TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And I'm out here, you know what I'm saying, in the field, getting some fresh air and shit like that. A lot of air in the sky anyway. So, you know what I'm saying, decided to take a little walk. You know what I'm saying? So, what we going to talk about today? So, I think I want to talk about some psychology shit. So, I was just kind of thinking about, you know, tactics for traveling through the darkness. And I'm specifically talking about the darkness within ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Because we all got shadows, we all got aspects of ourselves that we aren't so ready to put on the forefront. We all have aspects of ourselves that we keep tucked subconsciously, you know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, and just the whole thing about the subconscious community. See, what we're doing is we're actively accessing our own subconscious. Like I don't be you know what I'm saying, we don't be paying attention too much to the rhetoric that people throw around and shit like that. But when like when they was talking, like I know you heard it before when people talk about, humans only access this percentage of their brain and shit like that. And see, like on the surface, you know what I'm saying, that's just some dumb shit that people be talking about, like as far as like, trying to get you lost in how they want you to think the brain works, or how they, how they think the brain works, or whatever, what may have you. But really what they're talking about, that unlocked part, be the subconscious, you know what I'm saying? Because like before, like without you really tapping into your spirituality, right, going deep within yourself to really find the truth of what you see and how you see things, right, and taking control over or taking power over creating your own mind and things of that nature, right, before you get to there, right, that's the unlocking part. You know what I'm saying? These things be tucked away, aka our subconscious habits, things that you could find in the 12th house, our ability to see in the dark, basically, you know what I'm saying? Because this subconscious side of ourselves is really the darkness. And when I say that, I don't even like to say that too much, because I don't want you to get lost in trying to conceptualize, oh, my subconscious is the darkness. But I mean theoretically it is, you know what I'm saying? When we talk about, just going through the shadow work, right? The shadow work is when you're unraveling a lot of those subconscious habits, right? But you're putting yourself in a position to be aware of them, so that you can better construct thought forms, aka light forms, like you basically, like, because when we really talk about what we're doing, right, like I said, better tactics for traveling in the dark, you got to realize that you as a spirit create light, you utilize light. So naturally within your life, right, you're gonna have good days and bad days, right? But on a more internal scale, right, when you looking at it, these be internal things that we go through. Sometimes we have a day, right? In our day, throughout the day, we can go through phases. You know what I'm saying? In the morning, you might wake up, you in a lighter mood, but then as the day goes on, you experience certain things that make you come to the conclusion that, damn, maybe today ain't my day. And what happens is like we just be going through different experiences, and they take us through different travels. And some people go through way more travels and transformations throughout the day than others. You know what I'm saying? Emotionally and mentally, because these are the internal bodies that we create for ourselves, or the internal lights that we create, right? Our thoughts and feelings, because the thoughts and feelings that we receive, they aren't ours, they're just ones that are being passed down. It's not until, like I said, you unlock that part of your brain, right? But don't get lost in thinking that you unlocking your brain or some shit. Really look at it as, no, this is your spirit getting a better idea, or a better way, tactics to know how to create better thoughts and feelings, you know what I'm saying? But the only way you can get better at this is by knowing your subconscious habits, starting to become more aware of what's in your subconscious space, aka be aware of your own shadow, or being aware of what darkness lies within you and where it's located, aka knowing the different parts of your body. And this is where we get into astrology, where astrology is not everything, but it's a good tool to start to analyze different natures within you that lead to certain subconscious habits that we have, just based upon the energy that you hold, right? But depending on the spirit you are, you might naturally already know how to navigate certain things better than others. But the whole point is, it's still the astrology is a nice tool to be like, oh, I see where my sun conjunct Saturn, and then I get into a certain vibration that's like this, you know what I'm saying? But being able to pinpoint it now on paper, you're like able to kind of travel there a little more, maybe a little easier. You know what I'm saying, by knowing what energies is interacting with what, you know what I'm saying. You looking at it on paper, but you might be able to better get there as a spirit, you know what I'm saying, because these are spaces that we're not physically seeing, but they're spaces that your spirit travels in. So as your spirit travels throughout the day, throughout the month, throughout the week, throughout the whatever you want to call it, right, it goes through different phases within you or different locations within you, and sometimes you get caught up in a dark space, aka something, so it's a space that puts you in a certain vibration of not really knowing maybe how to feel or knowing not what to think about it, right? It might scare you a little bit because it's in the dark, it's unknown to you. It might hit a soft spot. You might not have known there was an insecurity there and it kind of caught you off guard. But regardless, this is you being in a somewhat of a darker space. And what you got to do in these dark spaces, like I said, you are a spirit that has the gift and ability to create light. So these light is better thoughts and feelings, right? So you got to utilize your ability to create light, to shine light within your own darkness, right? And this is not about covering it up, because covering it up is mainly you running away from it. It's like you going into a different space to just and trying to forget about all the darkness that was in a previous space. But it's like when you get to these certain spaces within yourself, you have to, as a spirit, start to really observe these spaces and like how you would do if you get into even because even consider this: when you walk into a dark room, right, or say you just in bed, you wake up, I don't know if you wake up in the morning, yeah, say you wake up in the morning, right, it's still dark outside, but you open your eyes, and at first you can't see shit. Same thing like when you cut the lights off, your eyes, you can't see shit. Everything is dark, right? But sometimes when you in these spaces, you have to sit with yourself, right, in that darkness. And what's going to happen? Your eyes is going to start to adjust it's going to start to adjust to the point where you can start to actually make out things in your surroundings. It's like you sit in the dark long enough, your eyes will adjust to that darkness, and you will be able to now start to see certain things that to give you I'm gonna say signals, or give you hints at what is actually around you. And the longer you sit in that darkness, the better your eyes adjust, and you might just be able to make out certain figures to give you enough information to know how to move about that room. So the same thing is with your spirit. Sometimes we go in these dark spaces, you can't run from the darkness, yo. That shit you can't run from it. It's only going to lead to you not adjusting to it, and you're going to stumble and fall. You're going to create a situation for yourself where you box yourself into only one room within your esoteric household. You're going to box yourself into only one idea of yourself. And when you don't allow your spirit to expand, it's like it's inevitable. You're going to be forced into facing the darkness. You know what I'm saying? Like I be trying to go too far with metaphors and shit like that, because I was going to say, like, to the point where it's like, see, it's almost like you're going to forget to pay your light bill, and then all of a sudden all your lights is going to be off. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how it's like. You can't just walk around being scared. You gotta know how to navigate within the darkness. Now, some of us, you might feel like you have an overwhelming sense of darkness, like, but that's a sign that you need to start to get accustomed and adjusted to what's actually going on in your subconscious life, aka what you know what I'm saying, kind of sitting in that darkness, but observing it to the point where you can start to get to a better space. And see, like I was going to say before I got into that tangent, part of what you have the power to do is to create light. So create thoughts and feelings that are better and more suited to shine and shed information on that space you in, aka you in a dark space. Start to create you this is where you actually have to jump into your God like power, your goddess like power, which is the ability to come up with your own thought and feeling. But you got to start to get accustomed and used to doing it on instant, right? The quicker you can get with it is the better you'll be able to navigate. Because see, if you don't actually actively create thoughts and feelings that shed light, you're going to create thoughts and feelings that keep you dark, or keep you in a space where you don't really want to confront what's in the dark. So it's like, even the light you do emit, and say you don't have a lot of faith in yourself, say you don't really believe in yourself and don't trust yourself, the light you do emit, right, you might come up with a good thought and a good feeling at first, but the light you emit, it'll be too dim. It won't be bright enough to actually get you enough awareness because that's what it really is. Our subconscious sometimes scares us because it's areas and spaces in our lives, or in our it's areas and spaces within our subconscious that we haven't spent enough time coming up with the information to construct anything to allow us to feel any kind of way about it. Like, for instance, you haven't created enough light there to feel comfortable with what you're experiencing or what you're going through or the space you in. And sometimes you got to be also aware enough to be able to discern whether this is a space. Because like once you start to make out what's in that room, right, then you can say, okay, I don't need to be in this space. And this is you kind of just as a spirit knowing what space you in and being able to travel freely to another space when it's time to transform, when it's time to change in your perspective, when it's time to get you know what I'm saying, you come to the conclusion like, damn, I don't really like this space. As a spirit, you free to move how you want, but as a personal awareness, you have your own space and you have to know what's in and out of your space. And you got to know as your space begins to expand, there's going to be more area and room to cover. And sometimes we have to let go of previous spaces in order to gain more space or more, I want to say more authority, or you know what I'm saying? Because it's like you moving within your space. You got to have authority, conviction, be inconvincible. You know what I'm saying? Not, you know what I'm saying? Have a strong conviction in whatever direction you choose to go, whatever direction you choose to travel in. So that's even, you know what I'm saying? Like this is you getting into your spiritual jurisdiction. You know what I'm saying? And as a spirit, you know where you able to travel and where spaces you really don't need to be traveling to all the time, because every time you move into that space, there's different things in that area that you just know you don't like. But it's not you running away from it. You've shed light and came up with thoughts and feelings, and the thought you feeling you came up with let you know like, nah, I don't need to be participating in this space for too long because this is not my space. And so no matter how good of a thought and feeling I have in this space, sometimes I got to navigate it, but it's not long before I know, oh yeah, this ain't a sufficient space for my ecosystem to grow within, or for my crops to grow effectively. You know what I'm saying? The crops you create and things of that nature. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'll be going deep with analogies and metaphors and shit. But the point being, you know what I'm saying? You as a spirit have the power. That's your power to, or one of your abilities is to be able to create light. So when you in a dark space within your own life, know that, okay, I can create better thoughts and feelings to get me in, to help me become more aware of this subconscious process. And once you start to become more aware of your subconscious process and your shadow, now you get to not be afraid of your shadow, but able to now, since you can make out what it is, you can better put it to use. Because that's the whole thing. We're not running away from things about ourselves. We are making better use of who we truly are. We're making better use of what we came here with. You know what I'm saying? And then we also are giving ourselves the power and ability and the freedom to separate from things that we no longer want to have attached to us. You know what I'm saying? And the things that we can't change about ourselves, the things that we are, that's who we are. We're here to get. I wouldn't say we're here to get, but part of what you are supposed to be doing is learning how you can accept that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you got to accept who you are. But at the same time, you are no thing. So it's like you always kind of got that power to choose. But that's just the thing about it, you know what I'm saying? And that's the cycles and things of that nature that we go through living in life, you know what I'm saying? Going through this experience, because we go through phases where some things are needed, but then there's other phases that we grow into that we realize something that we were clinging on as an identity for ourselves is no longer valid, no longer sufficient. We have to let that go. But all of it comes from being able to travel within your subconscious, travel within the darkness, but know how to create proper light forms. Those light forms being thoughts and feelings that go in your favor, that are resonant with your spirit. And even though your spirit is no thing, your spirit is a space. It has a space. And you have to start to become more accountable and discerning and have more authority over your space. Like I was saying, to know what needs to be going on in your space in order for you to have a sufficient travel, in order for you to have a better day, in order for you to have a better sense of self. You know what I'm saying? But even when you get into your sense of self, knowing how to transform that, and knowing when you in the darkness, that not all that's in the dark is you, but you have to become aware of what you do in the darkness in order to change anything. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the cardinal rule as well. You can't change shit until you change yourself. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, much love, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.